Hello everyone, this is Everything Programming. In this video, we want to create a game in Scratch. The idea for the game comes from the old style Atari games, arcade games, where there's a plane and you can shoot some objects that are coming from the top, and this game happens in space. So that's the idea. I'm hoping I can teach you guys some basic concepts of programming in Scratch, and you can take the game, I will share it with you guys, you can take the game and make it your own, add new features, and change the scenery and all that, and make it your own. So I hope you like it. Let's get started. All right, let me explain what's happening here. So I changed the backdrop to a galaxy backdrop, something appropriate for this game, which is happening in space. And then I added this rocket ship. So I removed our favorite cat, and then I replaced it with a rocket ship. At the beginning of the game, rocket ship will go down here, and then so I have it just to make sure I make it position at that point. And then we have a forever loop which goes and runs the code. And we have an if condition. If the right arrow key on the keyboard is pressed, we want to go to the right. And if the left arrow key is pressed, we want to go to the left. And that happens because it happens across the X axis. So we increase X by 5 or decrease X by 5 if the left arrow key is pressed. Now, why do I have this else condition here? Because I want to show you something cool here. So when the rocket ship is going to the right, we want to change the shape of the rocket ship, give it that feeling that it's moving to the right or moving to the left. So that's why we have that if then else, and you'll see in a second why. But before we get there, we need to change the shape of this rocket ship for moving left to the right. So I'm going to do that in a second. I'm going to make a duplicate of this one, the first one, and say to give it that feeling that going to the right, I'm going to shrink it a little bit and then tilt it a little bit to the right. And then for the left one, we're going to do a similar thing. Select here, shrink, and tilt it to the left. Now I'm going to name this. So this is left, so I'm going to name it rocket ship-L, and this is rocket ship-R. And then this is the main rocket ship. We're just going to call it rocket ship. Now, let's see. When you're going to the right, we need to change the costume to the right. But originally, when there's no keys pressed at the top, we have to set the costume to the regular one. So switch the costume to rocket ship. If it's going to the right, switch the costume to the right, and then change X by 5. And then if it's going to the left, change the costume to the left one. And then if none of these keys is pressed, it means we shouldn't have that left or right costume. We should switch to the regular one. And then so here we change it to the regular one. Now let's try it. It's pretty cool, right? It has that effect. It's not boring and it's going to the left and right, so it's kind of a cool effect right there. Now we're gonna move on to the next part, which is, and so this is for the rocket going left and right. The next part that I'm gonna work on is the missiles that coming out of the tip of the rocket, and it goes up towards the top of the page, and it will hit enemies that are coming from the top. So now, well, let me explain what happened here. I added this star as like a missile, and this star, which is located down at the bottom, is like a cloning agent basically, and then we can put a counter in front of it, how many we have used or how many remaining missiles we have, so that acts as a cloning agent. Whenever, so the code here goes like this: forever, if the key that is pressed is a space, we want to use a space as indicator for creating these, launching these missiles, so create a clone of myself, and then wait for 0.3 seconds. So if I don't add this wait here, let's say this wait there was no wait here. Why did I add that wait? Let's try it. Without that wait, if I try it, it creates this a huge array of missiles, which is not fun in the game. You don't want to have that many missiles. It makes the game super easy. But if you have a power up, you want to add power ups to the game. Maybe reduce this wait time. So this wait time makes it so that after creating each clone, it waits a little bit before creating the next one, even if someone is holding the space key down. So if we add power ups to this game, then we can reduce this time so that they can launch more missiles in a period of time. So that's for that. And then when this one starts as a clone, first we hide it, then we set the size to something small because small missiles, and then we will have to go to rocket ships, which goes to the place of the rocket ship. But when it goes to the rocket ship, it usually goes to the middle of the rocket ship, and when you launch the missile, it looks like it's coming from the middle of the rocket ship, which we don't want. We want it to come from the tip of the rocket ship. That's why I changed the Y by 10. I actually realized I can change it by 12 there. That would be more realistic or better. And then we show it, and then we have this repeat until touching the edge. So these missiles will go to the edge and then disappear. Once they hit the edge, we hide them and delete them. And then I changed this to 5. And this is another thing. It's a constant 5 here, but you can change it as a variable. Maybe if someone gets a power up, the missiles go faster. So later on, we'll use variables to adjust these things based on level of difficulty of the game, and you can play with those. So that's the missile part. In the next part, I'm going to show you how we can create the enemies that are coming from the top and then work their way down towards the rocket ship and our defense line here. So I'm going to have a defense line here. If they hit the defense line, that's a damage to us, and we have to hit them before they hit the defense line. So that's the next part. All right, so we have here the enemies. They're coming down from the top, and let me show you what's happening here. Basically, when the start is clicked, every random number of seconds, which is random, is between 1 and 5 seconds, we will have an enemy cloned from the top, and it will work its way down. So this is for cloning, and this little thing here is used as a cloning agent. And when I start as a clone, first of all, we hide it. Then we go to set it to a random size. We don't want it to be all the same size, kind of boring. So random size between 8 to 20%, and then set the X to some random number between minus 200 and 200 here, so somewhere at the top, and then the Y is set to 180, which is right at the top, and then we show it. And then here we have the forever loop, and I'm using this glide, so glide for 1 second to this position. I can change this glide seconds to something lower if you want them to go faster. So that's again something that you can control by depending on the difficulty of the game. Let's try 0.5 seconds. They will go a little bit faster. Maybe it's fun. Yeah, as you can see, they go a little bit faster. And yeah, that's about it for enemies. So now we want to work on basically hitting these enemies and prevent them from reaching down here. But before we go there, let's actually create this defense line here, and then we can put everything together. Right now they're all stuck at the bottom. Okay, let's create that defense line. I'm just going to use this paint and create a new sprite, and here use this rectangle, and that would be my defense line. I'm going to use the arrow keys to bring it down. Just that much I think should do it. And then the color is fine. You can change it to any colors you want. And as you can see, these sprites are hidden behind it. What I'm going to do is to hide this defense line and move them a little bit. That makes them to appear in front of the defense line once we show the defense line, just like that. And yeah, there you go. We have our defense line. One thing I want to do, let's try it out. Start here, and then here we go. Yeah, looks good. One thing I want to do, I want to make these dinosaurs kind of flap their wings, and there's something you can do with them. If you can look at the costumes, they have different costumes, make them look they're like flying or something. So when I start as a clone, let's see, just change the looks. Here we say switch to next costume, just like that. After each flap, switch to the next costume, and let's try it out and see what happens. Let's see. Yeah, they're doing it. It looks better. It's more fun. Now, how about hitting the defense line? So once they reach to the defense line, they have to disappear. So okay, so this is the part where the enemies will come down, and if they hit the defense line, they actually take a damage. And this damage is shown right here. For the damage, I created a variable. So variable is like a placeholder that holds a value. You can increase and decrease it. If you don't know what damage is, the variable is, that's basically it. And we're going to use this damage here as like a scoring mechanism. So initially it's set to 0. When you start as a clone, when this dinosaur is started as a clone, we have this forever loop. If it's touching the defense line, then change the damage by 1, we increase it by 1, and then delete this clone. So the clone will disappear, but we take a damage. Let's try it out, and let's see what happens. So right now we don't hit them, and that would be the next part where these stars will actually hit the dinosaurs. But right now we're interested in okay, there you go. So once they hit the defense line, we take a damage, and then they disappear. That's what we wanted to do. In the next part, we're going to implement where we hit these enemies with the star, and we take points, basically. That would be the next section. Alright, before continuing to hitting the enemies with the stars, I just want to fix this issue here. As you can see, the damage is going over this defense line. It doesn't look good, so what I want to do is to edit this costume and bring it up a little bit. So I'm going to use the mouse here, and then bring it just up just enough. Yeah, I think that looks good there. Okay, and then, so that's good. And then we also go to the code and maybe change the name of the variable a little bit, rename it to have an uppercase D. Yeah, that looks good. Okay. Now, for the hits, if you hit one of the enemies, we want to have like a hit score. So for the hit score, we need a new variable. So we make a variable for all the sprites, and we call it hits. And okay there, and we put it at this bottom here. Now we see how we implement the hitting. So in the same forever loop where enemies will, when they touch the defense line, we get a damage. In the same one, we are going to implement the hit. So if we're going to add an if condition here. So if touching, we go to sensing. If these dinosaurs enemies are touching the star, then we're going to change the hits variable. So we have our hits right there. So change the hits by 1, and that also results in deleting that clone. So after that, we delete the clone, and that's basically the implementation for hitting the enemies, and we should see the hits increase. As you can see, the damage here, that variable is keeping its value. Somewhere you need to set these variables and set them to the right value initially, which is 0. So we're going to just do it in this sprite dinosaur. So we go to events. When the click happens, do what? Set these variables to 0. So set the damage to 0, and then set hits to 0 at the beginning of the game. So if I do this, now they're set to 0. Now let's play. All right. So here you go. Enemies are coming. Oh, I was able to hit 1, and as you can see, the hits increased by 1, and then we have that one there. Just like that, we have our game's almost completed. Let's see, just like that. Now, to make it a little bit more fun, we want to add some sound and background sound music to the game. to make it a little bit more fun. There's a lot of other things you can do here. You can have, for example, like a depth effect for these dinosaurs. You can make them move faster sometimes. There's many opportunities, many features you can add to this game, and that's what I want you guys to take this game and extend it and make it your own, and add new ideas to it. So I don't want to implement a full game here, just something to get you guys started. But I really want to add the sound and see the sound effects, so that would be the next part. Okay, now let's add some sound to the game. We go to the backdrop, and when the game starts, we will have an event loop here, so forever loop, and then we play sound and play until done. There's this sound that exists in the Scratch library called Video Game 1. We just grab that one and play sound this, and let's try it. Just like that, our game also has music. Now, we want to add sound to when we launch missiles. That's the other thing we want to do. So for that, when we create a clone of this star, we want to play a sound at the beginning. So start sound, and there's this sound laser 2 that in the Scratch library you can choose, which sounds good. Now, let me show you how it sounds. So that's how it sounds, and gives a more fun video game vibe. That's that one. Now you can add some other sounds when the dinosaurs appear, or when you hit a dinosaur, or when the dinosaurs hit this basically defense line. Those are like optionals you can add on your own. And the goal of this video was to show you how you can create a game. Here we actually have a fully functional game, as you can see. But there's so many things you can add to it. You can make the spaceship appear moving through the space forward by adding some objects that are going down. Basically, are some planets, for example. If we go to this one, you have some planets that you can add there and make them move so that it appears that a spaceship is going forward. What else? You can have some different levels for the game. There's so many opportunities here for customization. So I want to encourage you guys to grab the game, make it your own, add features to it, whatever you like. And yeah, I hope you enjoy it, and please subscribe, like, and leave comments. Let me know what other games you can think of that we can implement in the Scratch, and I can make a prototype and get you started, and you can make the game your own. I hope you liked it. Until next time, bye.